Welcome to another episode of Interesting True Crimes Media. I'm your host, Ball, and today I'll be giving my opinion and take on the high school cheerleader who was found dead on a Carnival Cruise. That's crazy. You go to a place for fun and you never come back home again. Alright, without further ado, let's get the formalities out the way. Do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video so we can keep everybody well and abreast of all the madness that's going on out here in this crazy world. Alright, without further ado, let's go to work.
A family is looking for answers after a high school cheerleader is found dead on a cruise ship. 18-year-old Anna Kepner was reported dead while aboard the Carnival Horizon cruise ship on Saturday. The straight-A student was set to graduate in May. Now, her family is hoping to learn more about her passing. In a statement on Monday, the cruise company confirmed the death of a guest, which we later learned was Kepner, saying in part that their focus is on supporting the family of our guest and cooperating with the FBI. The FBI has opened an investigation into Kepner's death once the ship returned to Miami. The cause of her death has not been released, pending an autopsy here. So what are the next steps in this investigation, and what happened? I mean, it's a mystery. You've got an 18-year-old in seemingly good health, goes on a cruise ship, is getting ready to begin her adult life, and now she's dead. And there are questions. Here to discuss criminal defense and civil rights attorney Kesia Early is back, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, and private investigator Manuel Gomez. Manuel, what's your gut on what happened here aboard this cruise line?
Well, unfortunately, my gut feeling is that this was a homicide because of you see all the FBI equipment that showed up, and this is the indicators of there was a homicide here. But the unfortunate thing is that this is something that happens quite frequently on cruise ships, and people can go on the Department of Transportation website and right now, and you can see from January 2025 to March of 2025, they reported over 23 rapes, a dozen suspicious deaths, and numerous assaults. Everybody thinks they're safe on a cruise ship. You're not. All right, you have to act like you're walking through Manhattan and keep your guard up. Unfortunately, people don't, and this is just another sad victim in this case.
Jennifer, you know, people think, ooh, FBI is involved, but really that's the jurisdiction of the FBI, the international waters. That's, you could argue that there could be no foul play. This could be maybe a drug overdose or a natural death of somewhat. The FBI being involved doesn't mean foul play. Is that correct?
That's 100% accurate. First of all, if it happens on a plane, a train, or a boat, it's the FBI's jurisdiction. And that includes all violations that occur on those vessels. So no matter what, if a death occurs on an American ship under an American flag, which this one was, the FBI is going to be charged with handling the death investigation.
The investigation really, I mean, a part of this is obviously the autopsy, which apparently has not either been done or the results haven't been publicly released yet. Kesia, what do you take away from this? Because it does seem so odd that an 18-year-old who just ends up dead on this cruise ship. It's not like, you know, she had documented health problems that anybody's heard of. What's your take on this case?
It certainly makes it more difficult, and it is a mystery because her age, obviously young. She had recently passed a test to enroll in the military, so we know that she was healthy. Like you stated, there were no previously documented conditions of her health declining or deteriorating. So you want to think, like, is there a possible motive? What possibly happened? And in this case, the autopsy can really reveal if there was any foul play. We know that she was also active as the varsity cheerleader. So this is kind of like, we don't know what happened. And it also makes it complex. As you stated, this is international waters, different jurisdictions. You have the FBI, you have other agencies. So it's right now in the phase of collecting evidence, analyzing that evidence, and waiting on that autopsy report.
Here's what her family said, part of a statement released by the family, saying about Anna, she was a people person. She loved being around people. She had that type of energy that just drew you in with her smile. She was already talking to recruiters, as Casey had mentioned, and had chosen her career path. She wanted to do something that would help her community. Manuel, to your point earlier, you get onto a cruise ship and there is a sense of security because you think, oh, there's just a big floating party and there's no bad guys here. But that's not necessarily the case. What are the steps in terms of investigating this besides the autopsy? What else would the FBI be doing here?
Well, I just want to say one thing before I answer that, and that is that on these cruise ships, they don't have law enforcement. Okay, they only have security guards that are loaded with mace, an asp, and a taser. So you're not secure. And unfortunately, these cruise ships need to do like we do with our U.S. planes, and that is have an air marshal assigned to each one of these cruise ships so that they can keep some type of security and have somebody that understands homicide investigations and investigative techniques, because their security guards are not trained in that. That's the first of all. And second, their security guards, their main purpose is to protect the cruise line industry. And that's the problem with a lot of these cases. You know, there's a law right now on the books, which my colleagues can maybe confirm. It's called Death on the High Seas Act of 1920. Okay, that act right now only lets the cruise ships pay only $15,000 to someone's funeral costs. So in essence, the cruise ships, they're not even going to pay you $1 million for this girl dying. And like the other people said, she's 18 years old. She's strong and healthy as a horse. This girl, in my professional opinion, was murdered. This was not that she just laid down and went to sleep and died.
Jennifer, these are like mini floating cities, and like a city, there are surveillance cameras. One would think there's likely lots to investigate, and we did see, to Manuel's point, the FBI team boarding the ship. What are they looking for? What are they doing to either rule out or take next steps in an investigation like this on a boat?
Right. One of my last investigations in the Virgin Islands was a death aboard a ship, a homicide. And you walk on, you're completely closing everything off, closing the crime scene off. They're going to have a cadre of individuals to help conduct these interviews because so many people, there are so many potential witnesses, and also the video footage is going to be looked at. But I'll tell you what, having done one of these cases, this video footage is difficult because it doesn't shoot every square inch of this boat. It's typically not on the balconies. It's typically not on every stateroom. And so there are a lot of crevices and nooks and crannies that sometimes you can't get the footage that you actually need. Also, typically, there might be locking mechanisms that report when somebody goes in, but not when somebody exits. There are all sorts of issues. Also, that time frame between the time she was found and the time they reported into port. Typically, at times, a crime scene can be very adulterated by then.
Great insight there. Yeah, things you don't think about, I guess, for privacy reasons. It's not like there's a camera in every room. The hallways, all that. We'll see. Right now, waiting on the autopsy, and we're waiting for any developments. We'll continue to monitor.
First off, condolences to the fallen. You know, a cruise is something that a place that you go to have fun. I've been on like 3 cruises. I'm not even gonna count the military cruise that I've been on because there wasn't no fun about it at all. It was just work. But to go on a cruise and to have your child to go on a cruise and never make it back home, man, that's just scary. As a father, I'll be definitely looking for answers. That just go to show you, even in places where you feel like we can be relaxed and stuff, we still got to be aware of everything. Like they have all them people on this ship, in the middle of nowhere, and nobody got no explanation. as far as how it took place. Now, eventually, I do feel, things will come out and, the proper steps will be taken to get closure, because there's just too many people to have not seen anything that's on that ship, man. So to just everybody, wherever you are, be careful, stay aware, stay informed. That's the purpose of me doing this channel, to let you know, like, hey, a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting crimes happen around the world, everywhere, anywhere. So stay informed. Be careful. All right, y'all get in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. And as a parent, like, how would you feel, like, to hear anything like that? Especially if you may have sent them on a cruise or something like that. I know I'd be devastated. So y'all know my motto: the only time crime pays is on the internet. All right, this Ball, and I'm signing off.